hello. It's time, once again, for the unstoppable juggernaut of frivolity that is Just a Minute to come crashing into your living rooms. And my guests, well, I have two regulars, and as usual, on my left, the captain of the London team, we have the demonic presence and the insouciant personality of the amazing Tony Slattery.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight I have with me a man who is the MP for Newham. He was also once entertainments officer for the Bader-Meinhof gang. A little-known fact is that he once appeared in a very naughty video called Men Who Spank Tortoises. His name is Mr. Tony Banks.
On my right, the captain of the Midlands team, a man who cannot live up to the introduction that Tony Banks has just received. He's the premier checkout boy, the genial host of Supermarket Sweep, Dale Winton.
And with me, I have a columnist, television presenter, chat show host and film reviewer. She's the only person ever to have conducted a live public interview with a frog. True. Please welcome Mariella Frostrup.
Well, the rules of Just a Minute are ridiculously simple until you start to play the game, and they're simply ridiculous. And they're going to try and make points for themselves. That's very important. But also they're going to make points for their teams to see which will be the victor at the end of this week's show, Midlands or London. And they try and do that as I ask them to speak on a subject that I give them, and they will try and do that without hesitation, repetition, or deviating from the subject. It all becomes clear as we play the game, and we begin with Tony Slattery. And Tony, the subject here is down the tube. Can you tell us something about that in this game, starting now?
Well, statistically, it's been proven that on the London Underground, the Northern Line contains the most number of suicides, and that's because there's nothing else to do. There are no trains there. Absolute emptiness and silence whistling through the tunnels.
Also, Dale.
I hate to mention it, but deviation, because silence doesn't whistle. Silent, silent.
What a clever challenge, yes. As they say in show business, not just a pretty face.
Oh! As you said to me in my dressing room not an hour since.
Yeah, I know. Right. Dale, you have a correct challenge. So you get a point for a correct challenge. You take over the subject. There are 44 seconds left, starting now.
The London Underground is a myriad of tracks. You've got the Jubilee, Northern, Metropolitan, Circle, District, Victoria. They all lead to all four corners of Greater London. It costs, well, between £1.70 for the smallest journey, up and...
Deviation, it's £1.30.
Actually, he's right.
This is a man
He's
who
right,
knows his
you know.
underground.
Zone 1 and 2, £1.30.
Started yet.
You can.
It's a pound.
No, it isn't.
It's a pound.
No, I live in...
Just a minute. Yes, I know, but the point is his challenge is correct, because Dale said the cheapest was £1.70, and it's not the cheapest, so Tony's challenge was actually correct. It shows you how they spend their lives, always on the underground. Oh, yeah. Tony, a correct challenge. You get a point for that. You take back the subject of Down the Tube. 29 seconds starting now.
I tried to get a chocolate bar out of one of those machines. We've all attempted to do that. What did I have to use in the end? A rocket launcher. Yes, 10p, 20p, just for a...
Yes, Dale.
Too many peas.
Too many peas.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm being...
No, you're being smart.
I don't know what I'm being, actually.
Nacho.
I don't really want this subject anyway. How much longer have I got?
You've got 18 seconds. The subject is Down the Tube, starting now.
It's the turnstiles that confuse me most of all.
You don't have turnstiles.
You do. When
You have turnstiles at football matches.
That's why you get so confused down the tube.
I know.
But just a minute, no, wait a minute. I'm on Dale's side here because you put your ticket in, so we all go on the tube.
You're the chairman.
And that thing moves like a turnstile, and I think that's perfectly legitimate. 16 seconds with you, Dale. Another point starting now.
Whatever it is that you impale yourself on when inserting your ticket, usually yellow, hopefully you will not be met by a guard who will ask to inspect it. This is because generally I've bought the wrong one for the journey I wish to take. Usually I'd spend less than £1.
Tony Banks.
The word usually
He
is
did the word
quite a
usually
number of
before,
times
yes,
there.
yes.
Is it nearly over?
Yes. No. Tony Banks, you've cleverly got in with only 3 seconds to go on the subject. Down the tube, starting now.
I use the London Underground every single day of my life, and I must tell you that the Central Line...
Hey! Wow!
We're in there.
That whistle tells us that 60 seconds are up, and whoever is speaking at that particular moment gains an extra point. On this occasion, it was Tony Banks, so he's in second place. It's Dale Winton's turn to begin. What I overheard, Dale, that's the subject. Can you talk on it? 60 seconds, starting now.
What I overheard in the green room, which is the place where we go before coming to do Just a Minute, was intimate apparel talk. Mariella Frostrop's personal belongings were said...
Mariella, yes.
Hesitation.
Hesitation,
You have the
yes.
point, actually.
You have the point, because you've got it from the Midlands as well as yourself. 50 seconds, what I overheard, Mariella, starting now.
The conversation that Dale is referring to was between Tony Slattery and myself, and I don't think I need to go into any further detail about it.
Yes, right, Dale, you got in first.
Well, I do apologise,
You
but
don't
I...
apologise, you want to get as many people.
Now, I'm apologising because I've got to take on the subject, and I don't want the subject, but I would say a hesitation.
Dale,
How much have we
Winton,
got left?
Jimmy, let me tell you, you've got a correct challenge and a point and 27 seconds. What I overheard, starting now.
What I overheard was the barman talking to the lady who serves the drinks. She arrived with a tray of wonderfully decorated little canopies that you might eat, twiglets, things like that. And we sat there munching while another couple further across the room were talking about Mariella. And
That's a repetition of Mariella.
You mentioned Mariella, and though we feel we can't have too much of Mariella, it was repetitious within the rules of Just a Minute. So, Tony, I think you pressed first, didn't you?
Yes.
12 seconds are left, starting now.
What I overheard was rumours.
Hesitation?
What is going on?
Mariella, you got another point. You listened very well that time. What I overheard, 8 seconds, starting now.
What I overheard in the green room was Tony Slattery being offered a large amount of money to take his clothes off, and a lot of other people offering him similar amounts to keep them back on.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I have
what
to
was
Here's
the challenge?
interesting. Going a bit Welsh. Here's interesting. I was going to buzz for the repetition of amounts, but the first one was amount, the second one was amounts. and
That's
they're different
right, you are
words.
correct. So, you were interrupted just before the whistle went. So, you get another point for that, Mariella.
This
And you
guy's
have
blown it.
half a
Totally
second
blown it.
on what I overheard, starting now.
What I overheard...
Yes, right. Wow. Mariella was speaking as the whistle went, gained an extra point for doing so. I'm going to do something slightly different now.
Oh.
Instead of giving the players here a subject, I'm going to offer them an object. Those black segments will part, and through this piece of furniture will arise something which is rather horrific and frightening. There is the object. They have to speak without hesitation, repetition, or deviation on that subject, if they can. And Tony Banks, will you begin? There is the object. Please tell us what you think it is in 60 seconds, starting now.
Well, as someone who's very much involved in animal welfare, I find this particular exhibit to be totally and utterly disgusting.
Deviation, what is it, though?
I don't think... Yes, it was a good try, Mariella, but I don't think...
Mariella, well done, you pretty little thing.
Not bad for a girl, eh, Nicholas?
It was brilliant by any standards, but I have to be fair within the rules of Just a Minute. And I'm afraid sexism does not come into this particular show in any way at all. Tony Banks, you have another point. You have 53 seconds. There's the object, starting now.
It clearly is an animal that has had its body chopped.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
repetition of animal. It was animal welfare and animal
before.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough.
But it
Give me
doesn't
that
matter,
one.
no, but it's still on your
I
team,
know,
isn't
good.
it? Yes.
I don't mind him stopping me.
There's the object.
Stop
Tony
me any
Slattery.
time you like.
All right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
50 seconds. Tony Slattery, starting now.
You can get this from any joke shop. It's a... Oh, I don't know what it is, actually. I didn't have anything... I didn't have anything
hesitation
prepared.
I'm
Yes, it
afraid.
was
That's
hesitation. Dale, 47 seconds. There's the object. Tell us something about it. Starting now.
Many names spring to mind when looking at this object. It clearly is nothing to do with Judith Chalmers, Norman Lamont or Norman Tebbit. I just wonder what it might be. I think it's a...
repetition of Norman.
Lovely one.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
He's right.
Yeah. Of course he's right.
Cool.
59 seconds, Tony Slattery, starting now.
If you watch Dale Winton in Supermarket Sweep, you'll see that as you cruise down the aisles, this is the latest in the frozen food department. Yes, with your fish fingers, you can have half a scabby ram's head.
Hesitation.
No, I don't think so, Mariella.
He went,
Well, he's got to breathe, you know.
I never do.
Yes, yes.
Tony, 26 seconds. There's the object starting now.
This is the god Mumahumpu.
Well, I'm sorry, but there was a mama.
Yeah, repetition of
That's
what?
the name of the god.
That's the name of the god, Mumahumpu.
Oh, stop it.
Even if it was true,
Nonsense and all my...
even if it was true, Tony, you still repeat more.
No, it's Mumahumpu is the Polynesian god of daytime television.
Dale, you have the subject. You have object. 23 seconds starting now.
Tony Slattery is quite wrong, of course. I've never sold anything like that in my supermarket, but I have a feeling it'll be a big seller. I'll tell you what it is. It's a wildebeest. Captured...
Hesitation.
Hesitation,
And
definitely.
that wasn't drawing breath.
Yes. 13 seconds for you on the object starting now.
It's perfectly obvious that this ram's head is, in fact, a replacement for the original cover of the Rolling Stones album, Goat's Head Suit.
Yes.
Hesitation.
I think so, Tony. The object starting now.
This poor creature was obviously cut from its body at an early age, and we now have to look at it singing I Ain't Got...
No problem. I was just very good. Buzzer gets in there.
Tony Banks was speaking as the whistle went, gained the extra point for doing so. Mariella has almost identified it, but if anybody can give me a complete description of what it is, they will gain a bonus point. Yes, Mariella, do you think?
Well, it's definitely a ram's head.
Yes, we...
And
yes.
isn't there...
It's a type of ram.
ram's head, yeah.
It's a type of ram.
It's from... it's not the Midlands.
It is the Midlands.
Is it is Derby in the Midlands?
Derby ram, well done.
Oh, well done.
Well done. Brilliant.
I know my rams. I know my rams.
So, a point for a Derby ram, and we've reached the halfway mark in our contest. And after that foray into the realms of the absurd, let us restore a bit of order. While we do that, we'll take a break, and you'll see us after this. Welcome back to Just a Minute. To restore some sunshine in our bleak little world, let's see what Mariella Frostrup can do with this next subject, Caesar's Camp. Mariella, can you talk on that subject? 60 seconds, starting now.
Caesar's Camp is a place I used to be sent in my youth, in the Roman era, when I was just growing up in my toga. We used to lie around, eat a lot of grapes, have orgies, that sort of thing. And Caesar's Camp was where I used to be sent to clean up my act every summer.
Yes, Dale.
Well, I'm sorry, you were sent there twice.
Yes,
Yes, you were sent there more than once.
Yes.
You might
Well, I
have
was.
enjoyed
You're
it.
absolutely right.
there you are,
Every
you
summer,
said.
I said.
Right. 47 seconds with you, Dale, on Caesar's Camp, starting now.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if Caesar was camp, as they say. Although the term was probably...
Hesitation there.
Hesitation,
man,
yes.
Tony
Tony
Slattery.
Slattery, 42 seconds. Tell us something about Caesar's Camp, starting now.
I failed my O-level Latin. That happens to be true because there was a translation passage called Caesar's Camp. I started, Caesar chased the naughty poet through the wood. And that happens to be true. The right... Oh!
Tony Banks.
Hesitation.
Hesitation, yes. Can you tell us something about Caesar's Camp, starting now, Tony Banks?
As a matter of fact, I don't think I can tell you anything about Caesar's Camp at all. I never...
Mariella.
Well, there's no point in going on then.
I was going to try.
Mariella, what I do there is to give you a bonus point because we enjoyed the challenge so much.
We enjoyed it, Mariella, you lovely thing.
Such a sweet little girl. Sorry.
Don't mock me, please.
I wasn't.
It's
It was
utterly
Tony.
genuine.
Don't pick on me.
I'm not picking on you, and I'm picking on Tony. Right, there we are. Tony Banks, you get a point for being interrupted. You keep the subject, Caesar's Camp, 27 seconds starting now.
Well, of course, Caesar camped all over Europe, rather like Des O'Connor, but of course with not the same result.
Repetition of course. You said
There's too much of
Right?
course.
All right, OK. It's
Tony
probably rude
Slattery.
about old Des, isn't it?
Caesar's camp. With you, Tony Slattery. 20 seconds, starting now.
Caesar's camp is not like Butlins camp, because in Caesar's camp, you can kill people.
Hesitation.
I think so, Tony.
Yes.
15 seconds, Tony Banks. Caesar's camp, starting now.
Well, a large number of people have at times seen Caesar's camp, because if you travel around this country, all over from York...
Yes?
Repetition of all over. We had all over Europe.
We've had all over Europe before, and now all over
I'm
again.
I'd
sorry,
forgotten
Tony.
about that. That
Have
was
you?
ages ago, wasn't it?
But you see...
OK.
But you might be arguing amongst yourselves, but between you, you're getting a lot of points for the London
I
team.
know.
Yes.
Good.
6 seconds on the Caesar's camp, Tony Slattery, starting now.
He does that every time we're going to win.
That was for you, that one. That was for you.
Dale, you got in first.
My hand was just...
Yes, quite.
Really.
As it does.
You knew what they were going to do and he didn't do it. Right.
There
5
you
seconds
go.
for you on Caesar's camp, starting now.
Caesar's Camp is a holiday resort near the Midlands, where we play for, of course, on the programme from the Midlands team.
Yes?
Midlands.
He's right, he's
Yeah.
right.
Yes, but he's been
right.
told to do that, hasn't he?
I know he has, but he's got in with half a second to go on repetition, starting now.
Caesar's...
Tony Banks was then speaking as the whistle went, gained an extra point, and he's leapt forward. But Dale Winton is still in the lead, and then Tony Slattery and Mariella Frostrup in that order. Right, Tony Banks, your turn to begin. The subject, my secret. Ask an MP on the show and then ask him to talk on my secret. Oh, that's a bit daring, isn't it? Right, 60 seconds, starting now.
My secret is so dark, devious and horrible that I'm even too frightened to tell the audience what it is. I have the world's largest collection of Des O'Connor records. I first started collecting these when I saw him performing at a Buddy Holly live concert at the Trocadero Elephant and Castle in the 1950s. I was amazed at his ability to sing, to dance, to keep us all entertained for so...
No, that is devious.
well, it is.
I'll tell you what, no, Tony Slattery, what we do, the audience enjoyed that challenge, so I'll give you a bonus point for an enjoyable challenge.
Thanks.
As it was not within the rules of just a minute, and I wouldn't be fair to Des O'Connor to accept it either. Tony Banks, you get a point for being interrupted, and you keep going on my secret. 30 seconds are left, starting now.
He is an absolutely amazing man.
We've had two amazing.
You had two amazing.
Have we?
You have
He's a very amazing man. I love him.
Right.
It's out. The secret's out.
Right, Dale. 28 seconds. My secret starting now.
My secret's all about my first girlfriend, whose name was Dot. Strange enough, people always used to look at us together and think, I bet he's a friend of Dorothy's. I never quite understood what they were talking about. Having heard about it, they said to me, well, that must be your secret. I said, my secret? I have no idea what you're talking about, because everything in my life is an open book.
Yes, Mariella, your challenge.
Behave yourself, yes. Talking rubbish.
No, he was talking. All right, repetition of talking.
Repetition of talking, exactly.
Well, yes, well
Talking,
spotted, yes.
And I just threw in the rubbish there.
I know, that's right,
to
of course.
spice things
yes.
up a bit.
So, Mariella, you have a point for not only for yourself, but also for your team, which is really clever of you to get in.
Tell you what,
Yeah?
I know how to play this game. Come on, then.
Will you
Give me
press
a go.
my hand? Will you press my hand?
No, you belong to Des.
Oh, really? Right, let's have 10 seconds from Mariella on my secret, starting now.
My secret is that I'm actually Margaret Thatcher's love child. I was conceived in the early 1920s. And a lot of people...
Tony Banks.
Hesitation.
Yes, no, it was hesitation.
Hesitation, right.
Right, 2 seconds for you, Tony Banks, on my secret, starting now.
My secret is that I'm still a socialist within the Labour Party.
Tony Banks was speaking as the whistle went, gained the extra point for doing so. Things that go bump in the night. Tony Slattery, I think it's your turn to begin. Will you talk on that subject starting now?
In the 70s, there used to be this game called Clackers. Do you remember that? And I used to play with them every night. And in that sense, they used to go bump. The neighbours would complain, knock on the wall, say, "Stop using those horrible toys." I replied, "No," because that was the kind of boy I was.
Hesitation.
Yes, it was, Tony Banks. So you won a
Well, you're
point
quite
for
happy
yourself
about that,
and your
aren't you?
team.
It's quite
You have
useful.
43 seconds. Tell us something about things that go bump in the night, starting now.
Things that go bump in the night frighten me because I'm actually a very cowardly...
There was a hesitation there.
Yes.
It was a
slight
Gaveri.
hesitation, yes.
A Gaveri. Well,
It was a Gaveri,
I'm
I'm
a
afraid.
very cowardly person. That's what I was trying to say.
It was a Gaveri.
Dale Winton, things that go bump in the night as a subject. You have 38 seconds, starting now.
Do you know, the worst thing that can happen to a person is to live above people that are at it all night long. Things that go bump in the night, you'd be amazed. I've rung the council and said, "What do you think about these neighbours I've got?"
Yes, Mariella.
Hesitation.
There was a slight
No, I
one there.
don't think there was hesitation, but Mariella, don't worry.
I know, I'm not.
You're not. Just another point for your Midlands team,
This
yes.
is gamesmanship.
It is gamesmanship.
No, it's
Things-
not.
It's called technique, dear. You wouldn't know a lot about it.
Dale, it was an incorrect challenge. You get a point for that. You keep the subject. Things that go bump in the night. 27 seconds, starting now.
Got him.
Huge hesitation.
A huge hesitation.
I beg?
26 seconds. Things that go bump in the night. Tony Slattery, starting now.
The reputedly most haunted house in Britain is Borley Rectory, which burnt to the ground. It was the centre of great poltergeist activity, the word being German, meaning naughty or noisy ghost. Objects would...
Yes.
We're two ghosts.
Two ghosts. Yes. Right.
Scary.
Well done.
Things that go bump in the night, Dale. Back with you. 14 seconds, starting now.
Above my bedroom, I'm sure it's not a poltergeist.
Position of above. We had the neighbours above her.
You above, yes.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we did.
The noisy ones. 12 seconds. Things that go bump in the night, Tony, starting now.
One of the worst things...
Here is challenge.
Incomprehensible language. Coupled with...
Deviation from his normal voice. Mariella, you have a correct challenge. You have 11 seconds. Things that go bump in the night, starting now.
Things that go bump in the night can be very irritating, particularly for people who work on breakfast television. A friend of mine has that job and is constantly driven mad by her noisy neighbours who spend a lot of time upstairs.
We just lost out.
So Mariella Frostrup was speaking as the whistle went and gained that extra point for doing so. And she's moved forward, but she didn't quite catch up our leader. So at the end of the contest, the one with the most points was Tony Slattery. Congratulations to Tony. But the team that had the most points, 4 ahead of the London team, were the winners this week, the Midland team. Mariella Frostrup and Dale Winton. We have no more time to play just a minute. If you want to play this game at home, do remember it is a game for experts. If you are tempted to try, do make sure you are wearing the right protective underwear. It only remains for me to say, on behalf of my distinguished guests, Tony Slattery, Tony Banks, Mariella Frostrup, and Dale Winton, and myself, Nicholas Parsons, we do hope you have enjoyed this edition of Just a Minute. And you will tune in at the same time next week when we take to the air and we play this delightful and ridiculous game. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye.
Just a Minute is back next Friday afternoon at 2:20.